everyone, welcome back to ErikaBuilds and another Sims 4 speed build. Today we are back on the island of Sulani working on a beach house build, which is being done through the requests that I got on Instagram. I mentioned in my last video that I had put out an Instagram story asking for requests, if anybody had any requests. And so I got a lot of requests back and I'm slowly making my way through them one at a time. But this person had messaged me and wanted a blue and white beach house. And so I guess I really felt kind of excited to get back over to island living because I have been doing so many fall and Halloween sort of themed builds lately. Probably for like the last, gosh, I don't know, like 2 months or so, that, I don't know, I was kind of excited at the thought of getting back over to the beach again, maybe because the weather is starting to turn cold here, and it's been raining a lot, and just kind of gray and overcast and cold, and I thought, this is a good idea. I think I will go back over to Sulani and build a beach house. And so I did not use any reference photos for this house because I guess I just wanted to kind of see what I could come up with on just the spur of the moment without really giving it a lot of thought. Somebody had commented on one of my videos a few weeks ago saying that they would like to see me build more without reference, and I was like, okay, this will be challenging for me because I really love using reference pictures. But I thought, okay, you know, I kind of had a visual image in mind of what I thought a blue and white beach house might look like. And I guess my main inspiration, I started thinking about Jamaica and also about Key West, Florida. And I was thinking of like the really bright colored beach houses. You know, they'll always have like blue and pink and yellow and white and all these like really pretty bright colored houses along the beach. So even though I didn't have like a specific house in mind, I still had sort of like a mental image of what I thought that house might look like. And I had done a build last spring, which if you've been in my catalog, you might have noticed it. It was called Key West Living, which was actually based on a reference photo. But I was kind of thinking about that house because I remembered that it had like a whole bunch of porches and balconies and stuff with a lot of columns. And I think that's pretty typical for this certain style of beach house that I wanted to come up with. And so other than that, basically I just spent the weekend just sort of trying a lot of different things and playing around with this house. It started out here, as you're seeing now, as a white house trimmed in blue with blue windows and blue flooring for like all the balconies and porches and everything. But then I don't know, I liked it, but I just wanted it to be a little brighter than this. And so that was why I decided then later to make it blue, which you'll see in just a minute when I change the house to blue. Yeah, so definitely this was inspired by those kind of visual images that I had in my mind. When my kids were really little, I used to work from home as a travel agent, and it was a really good work from home type of job that allowed me, you know, to be with my kids a lot more than working outside the home. And I did a ton of like online classes and studying and stuff about like different islands, because obviously I can't afford to like visit every island as nice as that would be. So I actually did a lot of travel type research and stuff about like Jamaica, especially because that's a very popular destination for like honeymoons and stuff, and like the Virgin Islands and all different kinds of like places in the Caribbean and stuff. And so I had some knowledge, even though I'd never been there. At least I had, sort of visual knowledge of what I thought I wanted this house to look like. And so it actually turned out to be a much bigger house than I had intended, because this is only a 30 by 20 lot. It's a small lot. But with, like I always say, I really like big houses. I like building big houses. And even when I try not to build a big house, it usually ends up being big. If you remember that cabin that I built, I don't know, maybe about a month ago or so, it was supposed to be like this little small, like rustic cabin, and then it turned into like this mega cabin. I don't know. That's just me. I have to just embrace this about myself and just realize that every time I sit down to build something small, it's not going to be small. And so, yeah, that's why I decided to call it the Big Blue Beach House. Not to be confused with Bear in the Big Blue House. Which I kept thinking of as I was building this. But anyway, so when I switched the house to blue, I ended up changing all the doors and windows to white, because obviously I wasn't going to have blue on blue. And I think, they really pop against these this blue wood wallpaper that is from the Island Living expansion pack. And of course, with this lot being right on the water, I wanted to use this foundation with, the pillars so it could be over the water. And yeah, so it's starting to kind of take shape now, and you can see what this house is going to look like. So I used a mixture of base game columns and windows along with windows from Island Living. Those slatted kind of narrow windows in the front are from Island Living, and I used a few other ones around on the sides. Here I'm just adding some exterior lighting. I don't know why I just randomly did that in the middle of building, but I don't know. I think I was just really in a zone when I was building this house, and I really took a lot of time. In fact, I ended up having to cut quite a lot of footage out of this video because it was well over an hour, just to get it down to 40 minutes, which is still probably ridiculously too long. But hey, if you get bored through this, you can always pause and come back and finish it up later. Yeah, so in this Big Blue Beach House, I wanted to carry the interior as the same sort of theme for the interior that I had for the exterior. So I had this very, very bright turquoise and white exterior, which as I was thinking, as I was starting to think about the floor plan and the furniture and stuff in my mind, you can see I did a little bit of a time skip there. I had put in some of the landscaping and there's like a boat and some jet skis and stuff that I did. And then I just cut that part out because it wasn't very exciting. So I wanted to carry the same colors through the inside, and I will warn you now, this house is extremely blue. Like, if you don't like blue, you definitely not gonna like this house, because I went really over the top with the blue and white. The entire house is blue and white. And I mean the entire house, the living room, the kitchen, the laundry rooms, the bedrooms, the hallways, everything in this house is blue and white. And, I guess it's kind of fun to do that. And it's a little bit challenging too, because when you build a lot and we don't get new furniture super often, so it can get kind of monotonous after a while, where you're like using a lot of the same furniture and a lot of the same swatches like over and over again. And so when I started working with this, you can see I'm pulling out like a bunch of different kinds of white furniture, because obviously on this blue floor, I knew that white furniture would look the best. It gave me the opportunity to sort of think outside the box a little bit on what I typically would do for like a family home, and because I kind of get in a rut sometimes where I use like the same season's couch set or Jungle Adventure couch set like over and over again. And so I really wanted to do something different. And so this house, I would say, is it's got sort of a beach vibe. I definitely used some items from Island Living, but I also used quite a few modern pieces as well, because I had already built several coastal beach houses in Brindleton Bay with a lot of the cats and dogs couches and wallpapers. In fact, if you've been looking for something like that, I can direct you to my catalog, because I have probably 3 or 4 different like coastal, like New Englandy sort of coastal beach houses that I've already done. So I didn't want this one to be like that. So I very purposefully did not include cats and dogs furniture in this house. And so yeah, it gave it a little bit more of a modern feel, but still very beachy. But not like your typical like Sulani house, because I have done a couple of houses where I pretty much just stuck only with the Sulani furniture, and those are really pretty too. And I love that sort of Hawaiian Polynesian style of decorating. It's very pretty and very fun to do. So this house is not really like that either. So this house, I don't really know, other than just saying it's kind of like a modern beach house, I guess. It's not really modern though, because the exterior of the house I feel like is sort of rustic and traditional looking. Like when you think about beach houses in Jamaica and the Caribbean, they are older and kind of rustic beach houses. So it does have that kind of feeling too. I don't know. This house just has a little bit of everything, I guess. So yeah, it took me quite a long time to come up with a floor plan. And I think that's because, well, I think that's for 2 reasons. Number one, because I didn't have a reference photo. I didn't really have like a visual image of the house in my mind that was already kind of set in stone. Because a lot of times with reference photos, especially, well, actually, even if you only have a picture of the front of the house, it's still pretty easy to tell like where the entry is, where the kitchen is, where, you know, the laundry room might be, because you can just kind of tell by the shape of the house. But when you're really just going free flow and you're not really sure what, I didn't even really know for sure what this house was going to have in it. The creative process was just very much like a work in progress as I was going through, and the house continued to change and morph along the way. That's probably why it took me pretty much 2 whole days to build it. You'll see me here playing around with all these different blues, because you know me, everything has to match. And I really didn't like how those blue floors looked when I was looking back at the house, and I could see the exterior blue and then the interior blue was a different sort of blue. It was bothering me. Even though I know the outside and the inside don't really have to match, just visually for me, I just like for it to just, I don't know, that's just a me thing. I'm not saying all houses have to match on the inside and the outside, but for me, it's just more pleasing to look at, I feel like, when there's more of like a cohesive thought between the exterior and the interior. And so that is why I chose the flooring that would be the same color as the exterior. Now this flooring is from City Living. It's actually called basketball flooring, and it comes in a lot of really bright, fun colors. I use it a lot of times for like teen rooms and basements and stuff, but I don't think I have ever used it for like a main living space before. So it was kind of fun, because I thought, okay, now this floor looks exactly like the exterior of the house. So that makes me happy. And then I also felt like the white furniture and the white walls really complemented nicely with the super, super bright flooring. Because I think if you're going to use flooring that's this loud, you have to be careful that the furniture is a little more toned down. Otherwise, the house is just going to be crazy, which is also fun too. Like I built a house back last spring here on the channel that was like a bright orange house. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it had tons of orange. It even had orange in the bathrooms. It was like orange everywhere. So sometimes it's fun to do that and just be sort of silly. But this house, like I wanted it to be bright, but I didn't want it to be silly. I wanted it to look like a nice house. And the person who had requested it on Instagram had said like a beach holiday type home. So I'm thinking, okay, when you rent like a beach house that is, that nobody lives there, it's just purely a rental, usually the interiors are kind of a little bit over the top. And I think that's just because when it's a house you're not living in, 365 days a year, and it's just a place that you're going to visit, then it's okay if it's a little bit, super duper colorful. So I was thinking about that too. So then this rug I really got excited about because I feel like it looks really, really good on this floor, and that is from Island Living. So once I found that, it kind of really helped me set the feeling for the room and kind of incorporate the modern elements with like the Island Living sort of beach elements to the house. And I knew I wanted to have this open staircase with the railing. And the railing that I chose, I actually tried out a ton of different rails, but most of the railing we have in the game is very traditional and suburban, and I wanted something that looked a little more modern. So that's why I picked this horizontal slatted railing, because I just felt like it matched better with the theme. And yeah, and then for the decor, I used quite a few of those pictures from Island Living that are from like the photography, like the underwater photography. I mixed it with some other pictures from the Moschino stuff pack. So yeah, those definitely I would consider to be very modern. This rug by the front door is also from Island Living. And it is a fairly open concept. I actually did go back later though and divide off that little entryway. You'll see here in a little bit, because after I got through with almost the entire first floor, I realized it didn't have a bathroom. And this is another problem that always seems to happen to me when I don't have a reference photo or any kind of like idea when I'm just building for fun, is inevitably I will get to some point and realize, oh yeah, there's no blah 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 room, like I totally forgot. And so I ended up going back and putting a bathroom in at the end of the first floor, and it was fine. It worked out. I had to move a few walls around, but that's kind of part of the challenge to being creative and trying to come up with something on your own, just kind of off the cuff, is you have to be willing to tackle these obstacles that come along the way. So in this big giant living space, I decided to put the dining room in here as well, because there was plenty of room. Plus, with there being so many windows in here, I just thought it would be a really nice place to have a dining table. And this particular dining table is also from City Living. Oh, I forgot to mention the couch and the chairs over by the TV are from Moschino Stuff Pack. So again, I'm using a lot of blue and white. This rug is actually from Jungle Adventure, which I thought matched really well. This particular shade of blue, okay, so I'm kind of doing two things. I'm using the bright turquoise blue for the floor and for the exterior walls, and then I'm using it also throughout the decor. But then I also wanted to introduce this very, very bright sort of ocean blue, just because I felt like it gave some contrast to the room, to kind of make certain things pop. So for those flowers on the center of the dining room table, as well as the pendant light that's hanging over it, I really like how that bright blue, I guess a cobalt blue, maybe you would call that. I like how that just kind of made the room pop a little bit more, because that's one thing that's kind of tricky anytime you deal with like a set color pattern. And I think I've talked about this before in other videos, especially when you do houses in monochrome. Sometimes it can get really hard to find ways to make like certain things pop out where it just all doesn't blend together into one giant color. Yeah, so using the bright blue with the turquoise, I think did help that. And then I ended up going back through and adding a few feature wall colors just because, and I don't really like doing all white walls. I really hardly ever rarely use white wallpaper. So visually it was kind of difficult to accept it, and that's why I ended up going back and adding some turquoise walls to kind of mix in with the white just to break it up a little bit. And then these curtains from Island Living, I totally did not even know we had the white with the blue. I knew we had that other one that was blue, but I didn't realize there was blue on these white ones as well. So that really matched. And so now I'm getting excited because I feel like the house is sort of starting to come together and make sense. And that's one thing that's really hard about committing to color choices. And I have people ask me this all the time. They're like, how do you choose colors? How do you match colors? I don't really know, other than you just get into the house and you just start putting a bunch of colors in. And when you look, you won't know until you look at it, you know? And because originally, you know, I had that lighter blue floor and then I ended up changing it. So yeah, I guess the moral of the story is be super flexible and willing to just change things as you go. You'll see that happen again when I get to the kitchen, because I had a small mental breakdown about the kitchen. Basically just because of the different shades of blue and my obsession with it needing to be the same. I went through another hurdle with that. Yeah, so more on that in a minute. But yeah, so here in this front area, I was gonna make it into sort of like an office. And I was trying out some different desks, but I didn't really like any of the desks. And I don't know, I really wanted to use that curio cabinet, but it was taking up so much space. And by the way, I didn't even notice we could put things inside that cabinet. That is from Realm of Magic. So that was really an exciting thing to figure out today when I was building that. Yeah, so that curio cabinet has like 4 little sort of like windows, and you can put things in there. So wow, didn't know that. So I had fun putting blue things. I think I found like a blue skull and a blue, what do you call it? Like a globe thing. Yeah, so I was having fun putting a bunch of blue stuff inside of that cabinet, which, because I didn't know I could do that. But I ended up actually moving that cabinet upstairs later. So this house is a mess. It changes like 50 times. But yeah, so anyway, when I got over to the kitchen, I knew I wanted to use that blue floor from Jungle Adventure because it has a mixture of blue tile, but one of those tiles is that exact same bright turquoise as the floor, the wooden floors. So 100% I knew I was committed to that floor. The wallpaper, I had a little bit more trouble just making my mind up. I stuck with this white tile from Realm of Magic for quite a long time. But then I just started feeling like with the white cabinets, it was a little bit too white for me. So you'll see I changed that in just a minute. But here I'm trying to decide on some bar stools, which these are from Get Famous, the ones I ended up using, because I like how they're a little bit more modern, and I think that kind of goes with like the overall vibe of the house. And then these windows, I couldn't find any curtains that I liked, so I decided just to get rid of them and put in a door. And then I remembered I didn't have a laundry room, and I was like, uh-oh, I need a laundry room for sure, because when you have a beach house, I just feel like you have to come in and out, like all the sand covered, like gross, you know, clothes and stuff. You need to come through like a mud room before you come like into the house. So I ended up adding this, it looks a little strange, but it's okay. This little mudroom I ended up adding after the fact, just so the Sims would have a place to come in and out from the outside without having to like walk through the dining room. I just felt like it made more logical sense that way. And Yeah, so that became like a little laundry room slash mud room right off the kitchen. And I put the grill right outside that room as well because I thought that would be nice for cooking. And then I got to use the turquoise washer and dryer in here, which matches. So that was exciting. And I think this is around the time that I was starting to realize that I wasn't very happy with the walls. Yeah, I think it's not that I don't like this wallpaper because I do, but I wish the tile was a little bit higher up because the wall is just a little bit too white, especially since I had white out in the living room. I just felt like it was a little bit too white. Oh yeah, I put some robes there too because I was kind of imagining it almost like a little pool shed type thing, like where you would have a place where you could come in, you know, wet, and like I ended up putting like a little table in there with some towels. I was just thinking as a family comes in and out from like boating or swimming or whatever, maybe they would have robes and towels and stuff just outside. And yeah, so now I'm coming into the kitchen to start trying to pick out the appliances. And I had a small breakdown because I really wanted to use these turquoise appliances from Parenthood because I felt like they were the perfect color. But I wanted something a little bit more modern because I feel like these are a little more sort of country and rustic. So then I switched it for a while to the blue appliances from Cool Kitchen Stuff, but they're more of like a dark blue, sort of like a, not really a cobalt blue, almost like a navy blue. And it was not jiving with the floor at all and I was definitely not getting rid of these floor tiles. And so then I went back to the Parenthood appliances. This kitchen went back and forth forever between different kinds of appliances and different kinds of wallpaper. But I do feel like in the end, the Parenthood appliances was the right way to go. Just color wise, it made the most sense. And especially with that archway and it all being open. And then the laundry room, see, has the same turquoise washer and dryer. So I really wanted to carry that color through all three rooms, especially since you can see all three at the same time. Yeah, so that was my thought process with that. I may be giving you too many thought processes, but people are always asking me, how do I make up my mind? So hopefully this will help to make my decisions make more sense. Yeah, so the cabinets are from Island Living. I don't know if I mentioned that, and the counters and those windows as well. And then I was kind of struggling with lights because I don't really like these lights. I don't know. There are not very many hanging lights that I like that work on the low ceiling height, because most of the hanging lights that we have really only look good on medium ceiling height. So I was struggling a little bit with these because I just feel like they hang down so far, like somebody could hit their head. They're so low. So a lot of times when I'm building with the lowest ceiling height, I purposely won't choose any type of hanging light. I'll just do something that's just like kind of flat to the ceiling. Oh, here was a time skip where you get to see everything that I did when I had the recorder turned off, which I actually had it turned off for a long time and I didn't realize. So you missed me making the office and bathroom separated and cluttering the kitchen and also doing the back like, what do you call that? Like pier, or not a pier, I don't know. But balcony? No, it's not a balcony. What do you call that? I don't know. But the back, you missed that. So I'm sorry, because I got in a zone and I got carried away and then I realized I wasn't recording. But don't worry, this video is already way long. So now I'm upstairs, and on the second floor is the master bedroom and then two kids' bedrooms. Since this stairwell is really open to the first floor, I wanted to use the same turquoise blue flooring for the hallway, but I didn't use it in the bedrooms just because I felt like the bedrooms wouldn't really be able to have any individuality if I use that, because that bright turquoise floor, you really can't put very many things with it. So I used the same basketball flooring, but in gray instead of turquoise. So I think it does make sense. I mean, it's the same flooring material, it's just a color change, which allowed me to in the bedrooms to just be a little bit more creative. Yeah, so I have this big upstairs hallway that leads to two different balconies, one at the front of the house and one at the back of the house. So that hallway is very colorful and beachy. And then this is the master bedroom, which also has its own little private balcony. And I did use blue in here in the bed, but there's also a lot of gray. Because I didn't want the master to be too bright. I wanted it a little bit more subdued and a little more soft. And so I did use a little bit of blue, but I used mostly gray and white in here. The wallpaper and the rug are both base game, and then the furniture is from Island Living. Except for the ceiling fan, I didn't use the Island Living ceiling fan because it's on a pole and it hangs down really low. So I don't use it when I'm building houses that have the low ceiling height. So I use this other fan that's a little more tight to the ceiling. Then I was having a hard time finding curtains that I liked because that bedspread is sort of like a grayish blue, and it doesn't really have a lot of color choices when it comes to the curtains. So I ended up just using the Island Living curtains because I knew it would be the same shade of blue. Yeah, so that's what those are from. And there's not really a lot in this master. I mean, there's a bed, there's a dresser, there's a full-length mirror. I did put a stereo in there just so they would have at least one thing to do. But for the most part, it's just kind of a typical bedroom. And it does have a very large master bath, which is nice, with a big tub. And yeah, I thought about putting a TV in here between the windows, but I didn't. But it would be really easy to add one. You know, we have that one TV that's kind of square. I think it's called like Easy Mount or something. I don't remember what it's called, but that one would have fit in that space between the windows really nicely. And then I put like a little comfy chair in the corner, and I used quite a bit of artwork in here because when I have this wallpaper with the palm leaves, it's very overwhelming visually, so I wanted to kind of put some artwork up on the wall just to kind of tame it down a little bit because it's very busy, loud wallpaper. But it's nice they have their own little balcony here where they can walk out and see the ocean. I mean, every view from this house is just breathtaking. I don't care if you're what floor you're on. You could be in the kitchen, the living room, the bathroom, anywhere you are. The views are just stunning. How much do I want to live here? Can Sulani be a real place? And can we live there? That would be really nice. I'm kind of dreading winter. It's so funny because fall is my favorite season, but I feel like it's too short. At least here where I live in the Midwest, we don't get enough fall. I feel like winter just comes earlier and earlier. Okay, so here in the master bathroom, I had this kind of little notched out area where those windows were, so I decided that would be a good place to put the bathtub. And since it was such a big bathroom, I gave them a shower as well. So they have both a tub and a shower. And the colors in here, I was kind of trying to match it to the bedroom as best as I could. So it's kind of this soft grayish blue, so it's still fitting in the theme of the house of being the big blue beach house, but just a little bit softer of a shade, so it's not quite as loud of a tone of blue. But yeah, I feel like this is a pretty cute bathroom. I like big bathrooms. If you've been downloading my houses, you've probably noticed that I always have big bedrooms and big bathrooms, and I guess that's just a personal preference for me. I like big rooms when I'm playing in the game because I feel like I can see better, and I like to play with my camera like more at eye level when I don't really like looking down at my Sims as I'm playing. I'd rather like see them face on. So big rooms are usually a lot easier for me to work with as far as being able to see, especially if you want to do like pictures or screenshots or anything. I think it's always easier when the rooms are larger. But this room ended up being a little bit strange. It's kind of L-shaped because I wanted these two kids to have a Jack and Jill bathroom. And when I put the bathroom there, it ended up kind of making this room L-shaped. And so that kind of gave the bedroom like two zones. So you've got one zone there with the bed, and then the other little part of the L has the desk and the little homework area. But yeah, I carried through with more blue in here. The wallpaper is from Parenthood with the clouds, with the bedspread with the clouds. I think that's really pretty. And it seems very appropriate for Sulani and the beach and all the beautiful sky and stuff. I don't know. I felt like, to me, it made sense. And there's a laptop in here and just some typical bedroom decor. I wasn't really thinking like if this would be a child or a teen. I guess it wouldn't really matter. I think it could be for either. Maybe even a little bit more closer for a teen, just because I didn't really put toys in here and there's quite a bit of like makeup and stuff. So yeah, maybe an older child or a teen. But I do feel like the room has a very beachy sort of vibe to it. And it does have a door that goes out to the balcony, and I put some lounge chairs out there, and there's also an easel out there, so it's kind of nice. The kids can go out there if they want to sit in the sun or see the beautiful views or paint a picture or whatever. And then for the other, just on the other side of that Jack and Jill bath is another bedroom. And I also used Parenthood wallpaper in here, but instead of the clouds, I used the ocean waves because I thought that would be perfect for the beach. But yeah, I'm still kind of sticking to that overall color of like the turquoise mixed with like the cobalt blue. So I'm definitely carrying that theme through into all of these bedrooms as well. This bed is actually from City Living, so it's a little bit more modern in style, and I chose the City Living what do you call it, like armoire sort of like closet to go with it. And then I thought this was kind of fun. These rugs, these flower rugs, had the same sort of color scheme with the turquoise, that I put a few of those on the floor. I thought that looked kind of cute, and then I gave them little skateboards. And this child's room does have a toy box, so maybe this kid is a little bit younger and still playing with toys. And yeah, so it's kind of a small room, but it had plenty of space. This child now does not have a computer desk, so they'll have to share a computer with someone else. But yeah, there I am just putting in the toy box and finishing that up before I do the bathroom. Oh, then I realized my bathroom was a little bit too small, so I actually had to make that side of the house just a little bit larger. You'll see that here in a second, which worked out fine because the third child's bedroom that's up on the third floor, it needed to be expanded a little bit anyway. This is like I was saying at the beginning of the video, like because I didn't really have a concrete idea, I was totally fine with like making something bigger or changing the size or changing the exterior of the house. It wasn't a problem. So I guess that's one good thing about coming up with your own house is there's no right or wrong. You can just make it look any way you want to. Oh, and those little flip-flop lights I thought were perfect for a beach house. Yeah, so I'm just finishing that up, and there you see where I just pulled the wall of that bathroom out one square just to make it wide enough, because I really wanted these kids to have a bathtub, and the way the bathroom was originally, I wouldn't have been able to give them a bathtub, and so I really wanted them to have that, which it worked out fine, because then I just extended, you can see the third floor, I extended it out as well, so it kind of gave a little bump out to the house. Yeah, so then this third floor is the end of the build. This kid's room has a little bit of a sports theme. I I don't know. Again, I don't really think of it could be a kid or a teen. I guess either one. They do have their own computer desk though, which is nice, and they have their own bathroom, which is nice. They also have their own balcony up here. So yeah, it's kind of like a little kid suite up here on the 3rd floor. So I guess this house is mostly for a family with 3 children. Well, any combination, I guess, of kids and teens. I didn't put any pet stuff in this house, but there's plenty of space if you want to have pets. You could easily add food bowls and pet beds and all that. There's plenty of room. So yeah, we are just coming to the end of this very long build. So I hope you guys like this big blue beach house. Let me know in the comments what you think. You can download this from the gallery. My ID is ErikaBuilds. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ErikaBuilds as well. Like I said before, I have a lot of requests right now, so it's gonna take some time. If you made a request, I didn't forget about you, I promise. It's just gonna take some time to make my way through the list. And yeah, so if you have ideas for things you'd like to see on the channel, you can drop those in the comments as well. And don't forget to follow me in the gallery. Did I already say that? This video is so long, I don't know what's going on right now. But yeah, so thanks so much for watching, and tune in next time to see another house. I've got a request for a mansion in Del Sol Valley. I've got a request for a mountain house in the snow, like a snowy mountain house. Somebody sent me a gorgeous picture of a house in Colorado to build that I'm really excited to work on. And yeah, I have so many things that I want to build. I just need more hours in the day. And then I wish I could just build full time all the time. Wouldn't that be great? That would be the best job. But unfortunately, I still have the real world I have to deal with. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy this house if you decide to download it, and I will see you all again next time. Bye-bye.